What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Sharp Way with Olivia Rondo. I'm Olivia Rondo, and in today's video, I am going to show you guys some interesting things that happened at this year's American Priority Festival in Miami, Florida. So the American Priority Festival, aka AmpFest, is basically a group of Republican/MAGA speakers, celebrities, authors, musicians, everybody really that shows up to the Doral Trump Hotel and puts on this big conference with parties, events, speakers, etc. As somebody who now lives more libertarian after previously being a hardcore on the Trump train a couple years ago, I was wondering how well I was going to fit in there, but it turns out that a lot of people in attendance had a lot in common with libertarians. I think it's very important that libertarians remain an option for people on both sides of the aisle. I think that ex-Democrats and ex-Republicans can find a home within the party or just voting for an LP candidate. Honestly, besides politics, the one main thing that I noticed about all these MAGA people that was very similar to libertarians was that it was like the happiest group I've ever seen. Obviously, Trump is not the president right now, so you would think that a lot of MAGA supporters would be pretty pissed right now. However, what I noticed is that the group is pretty happy-go-lucky. Everyone was having a great fun time with the musicians and the celebrities and the speakers that were there. And I noticed that it wasn't because they were necessarily super hopeful that Donald Trump would be president again, but they were super hopeful for liberty, which is something that I really enjoy and that resonated with me a lot. So I was able to speak to a couple of activists in attendance on what they see as the future of the liberty movement.
Well, I'll tell you this. I run a PAC called Freedom Initiative now. We just brought Kayleigh McEnany to Chicago, and it was over 800 some plus people there. The mothers have arisen. They're upset. They're frustrated. I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of these governors have made have gone after the children, because now what that has done is it's awakened the mother, that suburban mother who normally is not paying attention to politics. They've been awakened, and you see that a lot, especially in a very blue state like Illinois. These mothers have risen up and they're tired and they said no more. I think that's what you're going to start seeing across the nation as well, if they continue like New York, the vaccine mandate and passport. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of that throughout America as well, and we got to push back against it. I'm an optimist. I'm an eternal optimist. So I don't think anything. I'm not hopeless because of what I'm seeing going across, especially across the state of Illinois. I have a radio show as well in Chicago, so I'm on the air and I'm listening to the people that are calling in. People are. I think they've hit the stride of people being so upset and frustrated with government overreach. I think this will be the thing that unites us and drives and pushes people. I do.
I hope so. Government overreach in the form of medical mandates is probably the #1 issue that both Republicans and libertarians share right now. I'm not about to get into whether or not you should take the vaccine or mask up, because that's your personal choice. But one thing that I did notice is that MAGA and libertarians can definitely work together on defeating government overreach. Many people I talked to agreed that civil disobedience was the way we can move forward. Some people were more hopeful than others, but all of them agreed that non-compliance is the best strategy to get rid of government lockdowns.
What are your thoughts? Like, are you pessimistic? Are you optimistic? Is this the thing that could unite people under like one liberty movement? Because I see a lot of liberals and Democrats opposing this too, and a lot of celebrities like Nicki Minaj, a lot of basketball players, NBA players, and things like that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on like the movement that it's created?
I think it'll get people to second question, have some doubts about the system. So a lot of people just went about their day-to-day lives and never really thought too much about politics because they got their own business to do, their own stuff to do. They want to hang out with friends, and this stuff never comes to the forefront because it doesn't impact their daily lives. But when an issue starts to impact you, like right there in your face, and there's a lot of hesitancy because, back in the day in the 1920s up until about the 1970s, there was the Tuskegee Institute experiments that is very prominently known in the Black community, for example. And there have been other cases like this where, people were used as like test subjects. There's a lot of hesitancy, and it's getting people to start to question, okay, I've been going along with the system. Maybe I should start to get questions a little bit more involved, and maybe I shouldn't trust every single thing that comes from my government. Maybe I should, be a little bit more skeptical. So it's definitely like opening people up a little bit, like you saw with Nicki Minaj and her tweets, which got her unfortunately banned for I think 24 hours or something like that. But it's definitely causing people to start to question that normally would not have questioned it.
One of the most interesting people I spoke to was Dr. Karlyn Borysenko of the New Hampshire Libertarian Party, and she had a lot to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear your take on big tech censorship and what we can do to combat it. Like, what is the future of free speech?
Yeah, so I think that the future of free speech, it's actually kind of funny because I think the future of free speech is similar to the future of, frankly, like liberty in general in America. I think it's about finding smaller niche communities of like-minded people. I don't think we're going to see any movement on tech censorship on Twitter and Facebook. Those platforms are absolute and total hellscapes. They are only good for arguing with people, occasionally finding news as well, that's fine, but mostly for arguing with people. But I think if people are serious about tech censorship, they've got to start getting onto platforms like Locals. Locals is my favorite one because it's very much anti-censorship. People own their content. There's no overlord looking over you. You'll never be canceled, stuff like that. So I think people need to make a concerted effort, even if you're going to stay on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of those things, to get into these smaller communities as well and get active in those communities, because that is where the future of free speech is. It's not on the big tech platforms, it's in the smaller communities.
And are you optimistic coming to an event like this where a lot of people are Republican, MAGA? Do you see a similar sentiment among the people here? Like, do they value free speech as much as you do?
I think that they value free speech, but the thing of it is, I hate to say it, conservatives don't do anything. They don't do anything. Like, we've seen so many instances right now where we can look back at moments in the past where people were censored on big tech from, talking about COVID, talking about the vaccine, talking about whatever, and they censored and banned people, and now we find out that they were telling the truth. They were absolutely telling the truth, and where are the conservative politicians? They are nowhere to be found. They aren't demanding people be reinstated. So I think that people here do believe in free speech. I also think it's going to take groups of people who actually believe in doing something about it. That is the only way our rights are actually going to be protected. And again, just like in online communities, I think things like the Free State Project in New Hampshire, where we're trying to concentrate as many libertarians as possible in one small space, that is the way that we're going to be able to gain the political power in order to change things and turn things around.
And just one more question. So Larry Sharpe, obviously libertarian. Sharpe Way is all about bringing people from the right and left into libertarianism, and you have experience switching parties and becoming a libertarian and becoming a member of the New Hampshire Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic about the future of the Libertarian Party?
I am incredibly optimistic about the future of the Libertarian Party, and it all comes down to the Mises Caucus, which I know you're a part of as well. The Mises Caucus is the best. They are slowly but surely taking over the Libertarian Party, and the reason I'm optimistic is because they're actually making things libertarian again. When I left the Democratic Party, I didn't even consider the Libertarians to be an option because Joe Jorgensen tweeted Black Lives Matter, and that was enough for me. And then people doubled down on it, and so there is this SJW branch of the Libertarian Party. That's true. The Libertarian Party is not without its faults, but keep an eye out on it. The Mises Caucus is taking over. They're going to turn things around. I have full faith, and frankly, I hate to say it, I think a lot of MAGA people might align more closely with the Mises Caucus than they might think if you actually look at their platform and what they stand for and what they want to do.
AmpFest was a weekend full of concerts, parties, speakers, and great food, and overall I had a great time. It was great seeing a lot of new people and seeing a lot of familiar faces from when I was more into that mainstream MAGA movement, and it was honestly a huge relief, like a huge white pill as they say, to see that many of the people who may seem more right-wing than the majority libertarians actually agree with libertarians on a number of very important issues. I would say that the Liberty Movement definitely has some hope as long as we continue to appeal to both sides and bring in more people. The crowd is there. The crowd is waiting for an answer. The crowd is waiting for an answer to defeat government overreach. They're yearning for it. They want it. It's not like everybody is completely okay with government overreach these days. There is a demographic there, and it's a very diverse one. So I think that libertarians can tap that market and pull from the Democrats and pull from the Republicans and pull from the MAGA people, because guess what? People aren't evil for voting for a different president. People aren't evil for having a different party affiliation. And a lot of the time, we agree on more things than you might think. I would like to thank those at AmpFest for letting me attend their event, letting me record, letting me speak to people, and overall giving me a great fun weekend in Miami. As always, thank you for watching The Sharp Way. I am Olivia Rondo. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, and please make sure to subscribe to The Sharp Way YouTube channel and follow The Sharp Way on all social media as well. Thank you and have a great day.